What's up, my friends in the film fandom, wherever you may be and however you may be watching? Thank you so much for giving us just a little bit of your time. Boy, a big panel today of horror fans talk about probably one of the best horror movies I've seen in a long time. Let's jump right into it first by introducing our awesome panel for tonight, starting with my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What's up, brother?
Well, if you may have noticed, I'm kind of the odd one out. My face is more naked than it usually is, so I'm kind of the little duckling right now. But that's okay because I went to Comic-Con over the weekend, and that's worth it. It'll grow back. It's fine.
Well, one of these days you'll hit puberty and it'll grow in full.
Yeah, I know. It'll be a great day.
Anytime now.
And of course, the shape from the Lone Star State, our man Tex. What's up, brother?
Well, yeah, I kind of had an odd experience happen today. This kind of creepy woman handed me a text and said to say this online. So I'm not sure what's going to happen here, but Clatu Verita Nicto. I don't know if something goes wrong. It's not on me. I didn't cause the apocalypse. Blame somebody else. Blame Joe Biden. I don't care. Do what you need to do. But, I was just told to say it. So.
Does she look like this by any chance?
Holy crap! How did you get that picture? Okay? I'm getting. This is worrisome. Maybe I don't know what I did. I might have to apologize. What's up, everybody? Hope y'all are having fun. And, hail to the queen, not king in this one, but hail to the queen. But I'll get into that.
And we're joined tonight by our good friend who stalks the Eastern Seaboard, the American Werewolf of New Jersey. What's up, my brother?
What's happening, guys? All right. Glad to be here. Happy Monday, everybody. The beginning of another week. So it's good to be here.
Well, we picked a hell of a movie to start off this week talking about. Obviously, what we're here to talk about tonight is Evil Dead Rise, a fantastic movie. Let's see. It is it's a 2023 American supernatural horror film written and directed by Lee Cronin. It is the fifth installment of the Evil Dead film series. The film stars Lily Sullivan and Elisa Sutherland as two estranged sisters trying to survive and save their family from deadites. The film's development was preceded by scrap plans for a direct sequel to Evil Dead in 2013, Army of Darkness, and a fourth season of Ash vs. Evil Dead. But I'm kind of glad we got the movie that we ended up getting. As far as its critical response, as of May 7th of 2023, it's grossed about $45.3 million in the U.S. and Canada, and about $60.7 million in the rest of the world, for a worldwide total of about $115 million. That's against a budget of about $15 to $19 million. So this has been a profitable movie. I mean, I know it's not like Marvel billion-dollar profitable, but that's profit nonetheless. And as far as the reception, it's gotten some great reception. Let's see. Rotten Tomatoes has it at 84% with 193 critic reviews being positive, with an average rating of about 7.2 out of 10. That's not bad at all. Metacritic gives the film a score of 69 out of 100 based on 38 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. CinemaScore gives the film a rating of B on an A+ to F scale. That's not bad at all. There's not really any metric that you can go to, any place that you can go to that says that this movie wasn't pretty much a fantastic success. And I've got to be honest, I can't see a whole lot bad about this movie. I mean, in the interim from when I saw it, from when I left my non-spoilery short review right out of the theater, I've just been thinking about it more. There's like really one thing about the movie, but it doesn't really matter that it kind of didn't sit right with me. It didn't matter. This movie's really, really good from start to finish. I mean, let's start off. I'll start off with you, Werewolf. I mean, obviously this film has a lot to live up to. It's got big shoes to fill. It's part of one of the great horror franchises in the history of the genre. Did it fit in with that for you?
Yeah, I was extremely impressed. I was hopeful, but I wasn't betting my grandmother on it. I went in there and I saw. Speaking of overseas, I saw the 2013 movie in Jakarta, Indonesia. So I was about 13,000 miles away 10 years ago, and the theater then was mobbed. So there is like a worldwide love for this franchise. This time I saw it right back here in the States. Saw it opening afternoon. I caught a matinee, and it still had a pretty good crowd. I was hopeful, and it was way better than I thought it was going to be. It was fantastic. I had a great time watching it. Very grounded. I'm not so much a fan necessarily, although I'm respectful of Raimi's trilogy. I'm not a fan of horror comedies necessarily, but these right there to the ground, like Freddy Alvarez's film, great stuff. Great stuff.
I'll go to I'll go to Tex. I mean, again, I mean, all of us being big horror fans going back to the 70s, really. I mean, did this kind of fit in with everything that you've gotten, all the positive things that you've gotten about the rest of the franchise?
Evil Dead's yet to have a bad film. I was listening to, like I was talking before we started, Lee Cronin, the director of this film, an interview he did with a podcast about how, you know, the Evil Dead films, I mean, we've only had 5 in 40 years of a franchise. So these movies still feel like events. I mean, like Werewolf just mentioned, it's been since 2013 since our last one. And I mean, the horror community has been clamoring for it, and I thought the film was great. I loved it. I didn't really set expectation to it. I mean, after getting burned as bad as I did on Halloween Ends, I kind of set all my expectations to the side and just, you know what, we're going to get what we get. You know what I mean, so. But walking out of the theater, I wanted to cheer. I wanted to just applaud because I love this movie. I thought it was great.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Jeremy, how about you? A couple of small departures here and there, and a few Easter eggy kind of things, but you don't really notice it because the pacing of the movie and the way everything hits just kind of one after another. What do you think of the way this fits in with the rest of the franchise?
Well, it definitely hits the beats of, you know, going back to the first movie where it's like it's just bloody, gory, in your face, nonstop for no reason. You don't really care why it's happening, but it's happening. So I was like, this kind of fits right in line with that whole thing where just ridiculous off the wall shit happens. And we've seen some of the same beats, like, you know, instead of the trees, this time it was like she got caught up in the elevator or something. And of course, you see somebody with a double barrel, like there's the boomstick, and of course I already caught it when they went to the little parking garage. I'm like, oh, there's a tree surgeon service over there. I'm like, gee, I wonder if there's a chainsaw in there. You know, I was just excited the whole time. Like, I know we're gonna get back there somehow, and I know what's coming, and I can't wait for it. When it did, like I think I've said this 100 times, but this movie hit the goddamn gas, and it did not let off, and I could not have been happier.
Oh yeah, I thought it was a great start to the film. Again, I mean, we've
had me at the title card.
About this title card.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, the opening of the film was one thing. I thought it was a solid opening, but as soon as it got to this title card, I was like, that is something straight out of the great early 80s horror movies. Just that visual, the dark, but contrasting tones. I mean, I just loved the way it looked, and as soon as that title card came up, I was like, I like this movie so far, but now I'm into it. That to me was just a callback to the greatest era of horror, the 70s and early 80s. But let's talk about the cast real quick. I mean, I have no complaints about the cast at all. Even the little girl, I've always found kids kind of annoying in horror movies because generally speaking, you know, they're not going to die. I mean, you know, generally speaking, you know, they're not going to die. It doesn't always happen that way.
Star Wars.
But it's like there's sometimes, yeah, they're sometimes just there as filler. They're not really important, but most of the time, there have been occasions, of course. But I mean, I loved everything about the cast of this. It's easy for an act to say that an actor is believable, but I mean, I really just got into all of the performances of all of them, even the little girl. I mean, she kind of, because I would imagine myself kind of in her shoes, and just like, it's kind of confused. It's not just scary, but it's confusing. You don't know what the hell is going on. And I thought she played that actually pretty well. You know, I'll go to you, Tech. So what did you think about the cast and the kind of job they did bringing all this to life?
As far as casting goes, I think they nailed it. I mean, Alyssa Sutherland as Ellie, I have to put her up there with Reagan in The Exorcist as possessed roles go. I mean, you could have if you were to tell me that's Reagan's mama from The Exorcist, I believe it. They fit together that well. Now, Miss Lily Sullivan, she is a new love in my life. That once I saw her with the chainsaw bloody, she had my heart. I mean, this woman stole the film for me. She starts off with that right there. Good God. I mean, that's perfection right there. I mean, she's obviously kind of troubled doing a groupie kind of party life thing, and the pregnancy situation to having to be maybe a mother of her own, but a stepmom aunt to her dead sister's kids. The kids, Cassie, the little girl, I thought was great. I thought she was the heart of the film. The older sister, I hated her. I wasn't the only one that hated her. Whenever she gets it in this movie, people literally applauded because of just they found her so annoying, and I'm not even exaggerating. But that's more of a whatever. But yeah, I thought casting was great. Now the son, he was kind of a moron, but hey, somebody. It's a horror movie. Somebody's got to be the idiot to start the apocalypse, right? So he drew the short straw on this one. But yeah, I thought they nailed it.
Yeah, I kind of agree about the son, but at the same time, I'm like, if I'm 18, 19 years old and I'm still kind of a dumbass, and my curiosity is going to get the best of me at that age. I mean, even now, as I'm a little more wisdom than smart, my curiosity still gets the best of me every now and again. So
well, if you ever,
but like part of it, I'm like, really, same old horror trope.
If there's ever an earthquake and the earth opens up and there's a room filled with crosses and there's like covering something, you probably just need to run, people. Just as a fair warning. Don't even touch anything. Just walk away. Just whistle and like you didn't see anything. This never happened.
Like, I've seen this movie. Yeah. I've seen how it ends, and it's never good. So I'm turn tail and bounce.
Right.
But, I don't know, Jeremy, what do you think of the cast, the job that they did in this movie?
Yeah, like he said about believability, it's like they went 100% on this thing, and it was, you could feel it's like you could tell they're kind of a little bit distant, strung out family. They got their issues and their distance, but nothing like a good old possession to quite literally bring everybody together. Well, almost everybody. Yeah, nothing a cheese grater can't handle.
Or a tattoo gun.
Yeah. I would agree, Alyssa Sutherland. Like, I mean, she had that face that, like, I don't know, man. Like, you can just kind of see she got that real sharp features to her face, but when you make her look possessed, that shit is horrifying. Like, you just see her looking through like a little peephole, like at the little girl.
Oh my god, yeah.
Shit sending shivers down your spine, dude. Oh my god. And like he said, Lily Sullivan. I mean, she's a badass. She went, yeah. You gonna be in your bunk there, Tex?
Hail to the queen. That's all I got to say.
Right.
I'm deeming her queen now. She gets it. I don't care what anybody says.
She had a pretty badass arc. Like, she got there. Like I said, when this movie hits the gas, I wasn't kidding. It gassed up a chainsaw and it did its thing. God, yeah. I'll say that. And yeah, obviously the little girl. I like that they did hit these kind of different tropes of like, well, yeah, you got the kind of like awkward but stupid teenage boy who's he's into his music, and of course kind of makes sense. I'm like, I get it. He's got to be the one to find the record and play the incantation. That was definitely totally not Bruce Campbell. Which I want to see that movie now. Yeah, I want to see that movie now for real. An origin story would be kind of cool. How they first found it. And they had like the little girl who's like not, she's a believable little girl, but she's also like kind of the little weirdo, like outcast. Cause I mean, of course she has a little stick with a doll's head on it that she's going to like jab. I knew she was going to jab it through something, which,
right.
I mean, yeah, she drove it through the sister's face, who's of course the, like activist type, which I was like, oh really? We're doing that. Okay. But at least it wasn't too preyed upon. I was like, oh yeah, we established that, but please, for the love of God, don't be annoying. But I'm not saying I wasn't just kind of like, you got possessed too. That sucks.
Dude, I'm not kidding. There was at least 4 to 5 people that applauded or had a verbal like, yeah, whenever she gets it in about halfway through. I mean, it was great.
I was just kind of more surprised about, who did get possessed. I knew the mom was, but I wasn't expecting like,
dude, they did
two more kids. Man. Yeah, I kind of figured. I was like, don't do the little girl like that. Come on. Then I figured, yeah, Lily Sullivan's gonna, make it through the end. But yeah, that's gonna be an awkward family reunion.
Gonna be a small family reunion. It'll be awkward.
It's gonna be messy. Somebody bring the napkins, because my God,
You can have that family reunion at a booth at McDonald's. I mean, you don't even need to rent anywhere. But, it's all good.
But
Uncle Tex, why is the dunk tank red?
Because it's the blood of the damned, my dear. But I'll go to Werewolf next. I mean, obviously the cast for me kind of killed it from the beginning to the end. What did you think of the way of the portrayals in the film?
The cast was solid. My opinion of child actors in horror films has gotten better. My opinion about that, because I first start out, watching some films like The Omen, where the Antichrist is like this big, and he is just expressionless. I'm like, what the fuck is scary about this? This is a waste of my fucking time. Fuck you, Donner.
It's all for you, Damien. I mean,
yeah, exactly. It was like everybody else. It was just fucking. And then that's supposed to be scary. I'm like, this is not fucking scary. But as time has gone on, and acting ranges have expanded, I see more and more. Great performances, and these were really fucking good. Everybody was really solid. I'm not necessarily a fan of, before this, of anyone in the movie. I did recognize the activist chick. She's in season 2 of The Exorcist, the television series, and she plays another activist. But I mean, maybe that's just her typecast, like that girl who plays Freckle Jesus, like in a bunch of in Solo, and that's what she does.
Captain America.
But I thought it was really solid. I didn't have any complaints about anybody. I think always in these films, the most annoying fucking person is the one who opens the book. In the 13 movie, it was the stupid hippie teacher with the glasses. They found the book down there with all those fucking dead cats hanging from the ceiling. Hey, let's open the fucking book. It's covered in barbed wire. Why wouldn't I open this, demonic looking book, where, all this shit's been happening. So, but in this case, I actually ended up liking the kid, who was like the DJ or whatever, the kid who, he starts out being really fucking annoying, but I don't know. My feeling about it sort of leveled out, because I think in the 13 movie, I was like praying for that stupid school teacher to like fucking die. And, eventually he did. Although he had a sort of redemptive arc too. He was like one of the last people standing. I thought he was going to be one of the first ones to go. And he was like right up there at the end of it. So, solid. No complaints.
Yeah, I love the cast. Like I said, I can't complain about any of them. The characters are one thing. Of course, the activist girl. I'm kind of like, really? Are we just gonna? They exist in the world today, so whatever.
No, really?
The douchebag DJ who's 18 years old and thinks he's gonna be Eminem. I was like, oh come on, I could have done without the way they built the character. But I mean, ultimately, you need somebody dumb like him to go ahead and start the demons kicking everybody's asses anyway. It may as well be that guy.
You need cannon fodder.
Yeah, exactly.
You need cannon fodder. So
I don't have any problem with the performances at all. I thought it was fantastic. One of the things I think that was great, and this is kind of a combination of what the of the direction from the director and the performances, is that you get emotionally invested in these characters at first. That's something that doesn't happen a whole lot in horror. Like, I'll go to my personal favorite horror film of all time, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I could give a shit about those kids when the shit hits the fan. They're a bunch of kids. They're out driving around, whatever. They run into this weird
Except
guy
for Franklin. Franklin's a moron. We don't like him. Franklin sucks.
Franklin wasn't that bad.
So wait. Slasher, you're saying your range is don't give a fuck to just don't like? Don't give a fuck. There's 2 categories here. Don't give a fuck, don't like it. Okay. But
yeah, I mean, you because it's easy to just be like, oh yeah, somebody walks in, all hell breaks loose, and then we're into blood getting, blood, spit, and ass getting scattered all over the screen. But but I kind of like, even from the beginning, like when you see her in the bathroom taking the pee test to find out she's pregnant, and then you hear the dialogue going back and forth between the two sisters about divorce, and she's trying to find a way to break it to her older sister that she kind of fucked up and got knocked up, and all this. You start to get a little bit of an emotional connection to the characters before dumbass decides to open the Book of the Damned and ruin the entire building. But
right.
So as I'm watching this movie, part of it is like, how is this chick gonna go crazy and kill somebody next and all that? But at the same time, I'm like, I feel bad. It's like at an emotional level, I feel bad because it's like because these kids, especially the little girl, she's already going through the whole broken home thing. And obviously they're struggling a little bit just to make it in the world, and then all of a sudden, Demon is taking over their mom and is trying to eat her or some shit. So it's just like I feel bad. I feel an emotional connection to these people, as opposed to just all the cool crazy shit that's happening on screen around them in their world. That was one of the things I really appreciated about
a decent story written.
Yeah. And this was a very well written story. It did take him quite some time to put this together. And sometimes it just works out to where you have those weird delays or something doesn't go right. And you end up being able to hone your story and stuff a little bit more, hone your dialogue a lot. And then you end up with an absolute gem like this, which to me, I think is one of the best horror movies that's come out since probably the mid 90s. I just thought it was
Lee Cronin, the director, he also wrote this film. The interview I was listening to, he wrote the first couple of drafts of this movie in the first year of the lockdowns that we went through. And I think he said it took him 4 months to finish it or something like that. And of course, playing with that mindset of being locked away and away from everybody else, the isolation. Because till this point, we've only seen Evil Dead. The whole trope of cabin in the woods. Hell, Evil Dead created that horror trope. That's where it started from. But, that was really my only issue with the movie. And I don't know if it was your issue too or not, Frank. But number one, okay, an earthquake happens. Well, where's the ambulances? Where's a fire truck? You heard no sirens of any kind. And two, you're in an apartment building in the middle of town. If gunshots, chainsaws, and wood chippers don't alert anybody, you need to move immediately. That was one of the notes of.
Bro, it's California, man.
I was gonna say they're not going to come out there. They're not going to come out
California, bro. You need a fucking nuclear blast to get news.
If you live in California, you need to move too, just not to Texas. But that's a different podcast. So just go somewhere else. But I don't know.
It's another Tuesday. If there's an earthquake, they're like, happens all the time.
In my sensible, right thinking brain, I'm like, okay, well, if I hear chainsaws and gunshots,
that's fair though.
Maybe you call them. You don't rush over and check because you don't want to deal with that, right? But at least give a 911 call. So do something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It depends on what part of California you do. Sometimes you just
I'm like, I don't care how ghetto that apartment seemed to be. I'm like, I feel like you might want to say something. Like,
right, drop an anonymous call or something.
Wasn't it just that there were like 2 floors or something that were left, like the rest of the building had been abandoned, wasn't it? It was like it was like 4 weeks away it was like 4 weeks away from being just closed out. So like she was looking for a new place to live. So I think everybody but the last of the holdouts were out of that building. So it was practically empty, except I think maybe for that floor, and that's why they were able to go up to the next floor at one point. Right. I think that was part of the story because there was nobody left in the building.
Yeah, because the bottom floors got destroyed. Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
it was because that girl at the end that goes to her car has been
the
whole damn night.
She kind of just lost out like she didn't. Yeah, that's what got me.
TikTok, man. She's TikToking.
Right.
Bothered about the apocalypse. It's a fucking
I need
to know what kind of
like an influencer. You'd think that's what she would do. It's like all shit's breaking loose, and she'd be all over her phone, like, "Oh my god, I'm in my house.
Oh my god,
gunshots and a demon trying to crawl through my wall." But for some reason, that completely bypasses her.
I need to know what kind
that girl though. That girl, the one that ends up going to the cabin. Did y'all think she fit? Because obviously this is kind of like Section 8 government housing, kind of low poverty area. She looked like she was doing pretty well for herself, had a nice vehicle, dressed very well. She seemed to not fit like she would actually live there.
She
That
seemed a
kind of
little
stood
out of
out to me a little
place.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah, because I'm like, again, I was gonna say, like, I didn't know what kind of sleep meds and what kind of like
right.
noise canceling headphones she's got on. Because holy hell, there's no way you of all people didn't hear that shit until you walked like literally 2 feet from the car that was still bloody and the door open, and she's like, "Oh crap!"
Even then, she barely noticed.
Yeah, like then she
Right.
decided to freak
Staring
out.
at her phone all night. Staring at her phone.
Yeah, she didn't notice until she was getting ready to get in her car. It's not like she doesn't have to walk through 3 inches of blood and whatever grinded up zombie people.
People are like in front of these. They walk into telephone poles. I just saw a video on Twitter the other day where it's just people just walking right into shit, walking into windows and
That's
I feel like
hilarious.
she would have waded through the shining elevator hallway of blood. Like, you didn't notice that?
She's perfect for the time. She's perfect for 2023. Just some Gen Z, fucking, staring at her phone, fucking LA, whatever,
Maybe that's something that the director was trying to put forward to this. It's just like the age that we live in.
But it seemed
you're
a little
so blinded
ridiculous.
by the little square box in your hand
Look
that
at
you don't see the world.
3 out of 4 of us are looking at it from we've got some gray in our beard perspective here, so there's we're looking at it from a different decade, decades of different decades and shit. But yeah, she
kind of reminded me of the people on the bus in the newest Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie, where Leatherface busts in and the first thing they do is whip out a cell phone and get ready to get canceled, bro. It was very much to save people. Oh yeah, well that's what I'm saying. Like, you could have put her on that bus and nobody would have questioned anything. She would have fit just fine. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm just saying, I'm not of that generation. I would have fucking noticed. I wouldn't have even been. Like I said, I've been going through oh damn, the stairs are out. Obviously, you know what I mean.
How often does she walk through that much blood not to notice anything?
I don't think she notices what she wasn't through it all, man.
She wasn't realizing her fucking friend got possessed, and then she got a little impromptu haircut. Well, off the top.
You ain't kidding, boy.
Well, to be absolutely honest, if you walk around San Francisco, you're usually walking through mountains of human feces, so a little bit of blood.
Yeah, and bodily fluids of all fucking sorts anyway. So,
like 12 homeless people on the way to walking down the street. Yeah.
Smoking meth, You
walk through the needles, not over them. Walk, go through.
Yeah. I saw Saw 2. You don't go into needles. God damn it.
But yeah, let's talk about gore. I mean, one of the key factors of any horror movie, especially if it's going to be like a slasher or even some of the demonic stuff, is you got to have great gore. This movie did not disappoint on the visuals at all. A lot of callbacks to not just prior Evil Dead, movies in the franchise, but also to some of the classic horror movies of the genre throughout its history. I don't know, Jeremy, what did you think? Did the gore meet your expectations?
Yeah, I mean, because holy crap, I was gonna say we saw the not so subtle wink to The Shining, where the elevator opens up and there's blood down the hallway, slow motion.
Dude, that was insane.
That was pretty sweet. And yeah, again with Evil Dead, that's what it's kind of known for. It just goes balls to the wall with the gore and some of the just ridiculous, over the top kills and stuff like that. And I was gonna say this also kind of gave me like a feeling from the movie Quarantine, where it's like in this one apartment building with all these same people that live on like the same floor. It kind of felt like that movie. Like this instead of a weird rabid zombie virus or whatever running through a building. It was a demonic possession. Yeah, that's a pretty cool shot right there. I will say some of the effects like that, like the shit spidering out on like her face, was pretty wicked. Like each one kind of had a really cool, different thing that happened to him, because it was cool that we kept flipping back to the Necronomicon, seeing a glimpse of like, oh, there's something to come out of somebody's mouth, and then boom, pops back to her, and I'm like, oh shit, was she gonna throw up? What's gonna happen? Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
I was gonna say something else, and I done forgot what it was. Oh, no. Speaking of gore, maybe not necessarily gory, but I mean, I can sit there and just stare at the fact that this weird society-esque amalgamation of 3 family members, you shove a chainsaw through their dome and just let it rip. I'm just like, yeah. But when you start using unconventional shit like a cheese grater and a tattoo gun, like then my skin starts to crawl because I'm like, it's not that I would imagine what a chainsaw feels like through my skull, but I mean, I'm like, I can imagine what a cheese grater on my back of my calf would feel like, and that's why I'm just like, stop. You start itching, right? You start feeling
it's like professional wrestling, man. Those old 90s professional wrestling.
Yeah,
ECW.
I'm like, Jesus, like that's what makes my skin crawl. So to make me start to cringe a little bit, me of all people too, and I'm sure any one of us 4, yeah, that's what got me. So, and I want that shirt that I think just says Evil Dead Rising. That just has a cheese grater on the front. Like, good marketing.
There's some really good ones. Look at cavitycolors.com. They have a real good selection of Evil Dead Rise stuff. They've got some pretty cool ones.
Yeah, I'll never. I mean, I have tattoos, but I mean, I'll never look at a cheese grater the same way. Thanks for ruining that for me now. I don't go through revolving doors because of Walking Dead. So, like, trust me, there's little everyday stuff now that's ruined.
No pasta for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Werewolf, what do you think? Did the gore meet your expectations?
Yeah, and I think I can separate it from movies that I've seen that have been extra gory but just stupid. Where it's just like gore for its own sake. Somehow, this combined with creating a lot of great atmosphere. And I'm not sure if that's, I think that's a combination of performances and writing and direction and things like that. But yeah, I mean, just going for it, all the time. Great shots. There's really good cinematography in this film. So when you're catching the extra gory scenes, I mean, it's, they're doing it right. They're doing it the right way, the best possible way. Like I said, I'm not necessarily a huge fan of. I respect what Raimi did, but the gore. Well, I mean, it's 50 years later, so the special effects are able to achieve in a much better way. I think what the Evil Dead is capable of, as opposed to 82. And I saw it when I was 13, or something like that. So, yeah, fantastic, right to the wall the entire time.
Yeah, how about you, Tex? I mean, you're a gore fan probably more than most people I know. The bar for you, I know, is going to be pretty high. Did it meet those expectations?
Well, like I said, I didn't set any expectations, and I'm glad that I did. The gore was great. I loved it. Was it the best that I've seen in Evil Dead? As good as this film was, no. But that's not necessarily a bad thing when you look at what Evil Dead has done in the past. I still think the gore of the 2013 film was still more brutal. I mean, yes, we saw a cheese grater scene. We saw the tattoo scene. We saw the activist daughter swallowing a piece of glass, and you can see it going down as she swallows it.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
This gore was, I would call this practical gore. I mean, obviously you're locked in your house. So it's not the cabin in the woods. So it's a different kind of gore. Still good, but it's not as bad. And I mean, considering obviously there was no tree rape in this movie like we've gotten in other ones.
It was an elevator this time, kind of.
Right. But I mean, this is like, I'd say the gore for me, like I said, my scale is, I wouldn't call it sophisticated, but more, integral to the plot for me. But I'd give it a B+ for the gore. It wasn't the best I've seen, but hey, I'm not kicking it out of bed. I was happy with it.
What would you rate as what would you give a higher grade to in terms of gore? Just out of curiosity. Like, what would you give the A2? Would it be like Fede Alvarez with the hypodermic, and that guy the teacher getting stabbed in the eye? Or is it like another film entirely?
I'm very much a Rob Zombie film guy, from whether it's House of a Thousand Corpses to 31. I think 31 has some of the best gore that I've ever seen. Okay. And I mean, just the opening shot of Doomhead or Deathhead. I can't remember which one it was. But when he's sitting there talking to the preacher about, well, this axe isn't very sharp, so I'm going to have to apologize because this is going to take a few whacks. And then, I mean, we walk in and we see the preacher's wife that God knows how long she's been tied to that bed doing horrible things. I mean, I like the grindhouse, nastier the better, the hardcore. That's my style of film. The old style that doesn't really get pushed. Right. I want it like this close to a snuff film. Like that's how I want my gore. I don't get a lot of it, so you know. But yeah, no, like I said, I like the gore. I thought it was good. But like I said, I'd give it a B plus. It's very much acceptable, especially to today's standards. You know.
Just on a quick side note, I met Rich Brake once. He's like one of the most even level dudes you've heard.
I have too. The dude is cool, man.
Yeah, he really is like Joe Chill.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, I love the gore. I have no complaints about it at all. I mean, I love the callback with the elevator and the blood to The Shining. The whole thing about like she was drilling the tattoo gun into her own head and then like using that as like the ink. I was like, wow, that is a wild kind of thing to do.
Right.
Again, most creative use of a cheese grater. That award goes to this movie. That's one of the cool things when you can take an average everyday item and make it terrifying.
That's what
like
I mean.
It's like just reaches out, just runs it down her leg, and I'm like, my God, I never would have thought to use a cheese grater that way. So now I'm actually kind of
Thanks for that.
This is why I buy my cheese shredded in a bag, so I have to keep it around the house. But yeah, I can't knock any of it. You know, I the stuff like the hallway. I'll go into it a little bit more in a minute. But it's like even that very simplistic kind of stuff, which he's looking through the people into what's going on in the hallway. It's like even that I thought was radical and awesome. And that's some of the more subtle kind of effects in the movie. It's like you see some blood kind of getting thrown around, see some bodies getting thrown around, but it was just such a great use of it, a great way to shoot it all. Like trying to watch it from like farther back, even though it's like 3 feet in front of you, it was just crazy. The gore was fantastic. Again, just ripping at the beginning of the movie, she just rips her scalp off. I was like, that to me is a great horror move right there. It's probably been done in movies before, but I mean, to start with something solid like that and to get that visual of like the hair coming off and the skin and everything, and then her walking out to the lake and just like, you know, blood kind of goes all coming down here, and you see the little bit of hair around here, and then just like nothing but red goo here. That was a great shot to me. I love so much about the horror. My only real knock on this movie, period. I'll say that. We'll go into that in just a minute.
Well, I'll say that she did put the drone into her face, and then take a little dive in the lake.
Yeah, but I mean, let's go around real quick, and I'll go back to you again on this one. Where is there a favorite scene you had in the movie? One that just kind of made you go, "Oh shit, that was awesome." What was the one scene for you?
That's a good question. I'd have to think about it. Can I pass on that? Because there's one I'm thinking off the top of my head. It probably is where the chainsaw came out, you know, and then I was like, yeah, you know, that just, you know, it's still going and it's still going, it's still going. But then, you know, when they bring that out, it just ups the level one more time. And I was like, you know, and you know, you're at the end of the movie, but, you know, they still managed to, you know, to dial it up to 11. You know, you're at 10, but they managed to find 6 gear in there. So I would say off the top of my head, that was probably my favorite one. Yeah, I honestly didn't expect that. I was just because the good thing about this film, or at least in my experience, you got wrapped up in each individual moment. Like I wasn't necessarily thinking about, you know, how's this going to end, you know, or am I going to see this, or am I going to see that? I was like fully invested in what was happening in front of me, like all the time. So that when the chainsaw came out, I was able to react to that, not in a way that was like, yeah, you know, I was waiting for that, but I'm like, holy shit, you know, they're bringing out a chainsaw. So yeah, off the top, I'd say the chainsaw, and yeah, that's the reason why.
How about you, Tex? What jumped out at you as one of those scenes that kind of blew you away?
Honestly, I mean, there's 3 or 4 that I could pick out, but scene-wise, the beginning of Ellie being possessed, and she's in the apartment, and like she's laying in the tub, the family's like watching from the doorway, trying to see what's going on, and she kind of peers out over the ledge, and like you first see, you know, mommy's with the maggots now. I mean, there's a reason why that was in the trailer, and that just set the tone. I mean, obviously the Deadites aren't zombies; they're demonic creatures that just look like zombies. So they've got the one thing that Lee Cronin did here. He kind of took a little bit from each decade or version of Evil Dead, and the way the kind of the I'm not big on comedy and horror either. I want serious, I want dark, like this is legit happening.
Yeah.
But the humor, the way it was used in this movie, it didn't make you want to laugh out loud and bust a gut. It was like, oh, this is going to be bad, you know, kind of like a nervous laughter kind of thing. And I mean, what did Ellie call the kids? Titty sucking
parasites.
Parasites, yeah. You know, I mean, it was stuff like that. It was like, this is dark, you know. I mean, when she talks about her sister not wanting something in her stomach or whatever because she knew she was pregnant, just the scenes with Ellie, especially with the family, you know, I mean, we've never seen this in Evil Dead before, and I'm glad we got a different aspect of what this apocalypse could look like in a family aspect. So really, anything with her for me.
Jeremy, how about you? One scene that jumped out at you and blew your mind.
Yeah, see, I would have said the fever pitch of her grabbing the boomstick and the shotgun and the boomstick and the chainsaw and putting that shit right through their dome and put them in a wood chipper. Right. That was pretty sick. But I honestly, I think we mentioned it, but I think the thing that sold me the most was that goddamn visceral shot, her just coming out of the fucking lake, and then that title card rising up with her. I'm like, that is the coolest shit I have ever seen. Coolest title card ever. And I'm like, all right, I don't even care what happens the rest of this movie. I'm in it. I was slightly reserved because I've now had that, like, I've seen it too many times now where it's like, it seems like the first opening act up to a title card of a movie is like, it could be its own. You could have seen that like as a short horror film on a streaming service or on, you know, YouTube, whatever. And then I'm like, sometimes they will fall off or it's like, oh, now it doesn't make any sense with like the rest of the movie. But I'm like, no, this went straight for it, but then because it stayed in my mind, and I'm like, okay, so what did it have to do with anything? And then I saw that dumb bitch come out of the apartment. I'm like, oh, whoa, here we go. Oh no, okay. She just straight up got possessed by 3 people at once, I think, or 3 Deadites at once, rather.
Right.
Yikes! That's not a good start to your weekend at the lake. But
yeah.
I was sold by the title card, I guess, really. But I mean, obviously. The obvious answer would be the chainsaw through the monster's skull, but
yeah, for one, there's really probably about 10 or 12 scenes that I remember sitting there watching the movie going, damn, that shit really just happened on the screen in front of me. Holy shit. My personal favorite scene, I love the way it was shot. I love the way that it happens on the other side of this door, but it's still 4 feet from you. Yeah, it's when she's just murking everybody in that fucking hallway. Woo. The kid, the 2 kids, the teenager and his little brother, the old man, the neighbor. I love the idea of like hearing this shit happening like over here on the left, and then you see like the little boy's body fall down like behind her where she is now, and like he hits the wall and then slides down. You see the blood behind him. You hear like gunshots, and then you see her like walk over and grab the gun, look around, grab the gun, and then walk back over to where the guy is off camera and just murk him, so kill him again. I was just like, that was such a cool shot scene that it's like you're looking at it through this visual, and then like the blood that comes down over the peephole at 1 or 2 points over the way that scene playing out. I was like, damn, that is one of the coolest shot scenes I've seen in a horror movie. Not the bloodiest, not the goriest. A lot of it happens off camera, but it's just like it adds to the effect of there's somebody right now getting his intestines ripped out. There's somebody right now who had a shotgun barrel shoved up his ass. There's a kid who just had his chest ripped out. There's this other thing that's going on here. Like whatever the hell they did to the neighbor guy. I thought where she bit his eye out or some shit like that.
Like all this. Oh yeah, she bit his eye and spit it out at the other guy and he choked on it.
Oh yeah, that's right.
that was funny.
See, that was borderline goofy, but I was still just like, oh my god, what?
Well, it's not goofy. That's Raimi's style. I mean, there are so many points in this film that I'm like, are we sure that Sam Raimi didn't direct this movie? Because that shot, that angle, it could have been Raimi, or you could have told me this was Sam Raimi, and I would have believed you and never questioned it.
I mean, yeah, like in what was it, the original one where he looks up and he's like, or no, that was the second movie where Ash was just losing his fucking mind. He looks over at the deer head on the wall. Deer head looks at him and starts laughing. I'm like, what the hell is happening? What?
Yeah, this was like Lee Cronin. Shout out to him, man. He didn't copy Raimi's style. He kind of did it in his own way, but it was like an homage to it or whatever. But I mean, it was great. I loved the way that it was shot.
I was gonna say, I know one of those moments that made you laugh, Tex. It had to be when she's like, "Auntie Beth, you're gonna be a great mom. Why? Because you know how to lie to kids."
Because you know how to lie to kids.
That was so deadpan. That was so great. Oh,
that little girl was great. Like I said, she was the heart of this movie, man.
It's
I mean, hell is going on around her, and she's somehow trying to keep it together. You know what I mean?
Like, you know, she's not like a typical like little kid. She at least knows like, oh, you're bullshitting me, but hey, you're good at it,
right?
So, you know,
right? Oh
yeah. There was probably a handful of scenes that I could have pulled out as my favorite, but that was the one that just jumped out to me because of the way it was shot. Yeah, the cheese grater and stuff like that, and basically like the last half of the third act, everything that happens in the garage. I was just like, if I could just pull that movie up right now on a streaming service just to watch 5 or 10 minutes of it, I would watch the last 5 or 10 minutes of the movie just because it's so eventful.
Hey,
we've only got like 4 weeks, right? And then it hits. I think it hits digital tomorrow, and then physical media like June 7th or something.
Oh yeah, the theatrical window is now only 45 days. It's not 90 like it was before the pandemic. So, I mean, we're getting really fast turnover for some of these movies, which I think for movies like this is actually going to help a lot because I mean, there's so many people. I've been talking about it for a long time. It's going to be several years before the movie theater industry kind of fully rebounds from all the damage that was done from the pandemic. But I mean, it's going to help a lot, you know, with all these people who didn't want to go to the theater to see it for whatever reason or another. When it hits, you know, physical media or secondary media at all, people who will rent it on demand or whatever. I think it's going to help movies like this a lot. So if it's made $150 million now, I feel like that's criminally under. This should be a $300 or $400 million movie, in my opinion, because I think it's good enough to deserve it. But I mean, it's going to help this movie become even more profitable in the secondary market, which is going to be nice. But but getting it out there faster is going to help a lot of these kind of smaller budget movies that are under like $15 million. The ones that are $250 million that Marvel and DC are making, they can fend for themselves. They're going to make their money one way or the other. But movies like this, it's going to be a big financial boon for movies like this, I think. But before we get into any trivia, real quick, I'll start with Tex on this one. Is there any negatives about the movie that you can think
of? Yeah, like I said, the lack of Bruce Campbell. I mean, we just not too long ago did a the Scream 6 review, and Frank, you asked, did you miss Neve Campbell? And my answer was no, it didn't need her, but it was so odd to see an Evil Dead film without the King himself in it, some way, shape, form, or fashion. That was a negative for me. Now, I knew he wasn't going to be in it. I knew that going into it. But, I mean, come on. He's Ash. He's arguably the greatest character in all of horror ever. I mean, he's like the one good guy that uses a chainsaw in horror movies. You don't get a lot of those, you know what I mean? But besides that, the only other real negative that I could come up with is I wanted it to be, I mean, even as brutal as it was, just a hair more brutal. Go back to that 2013 film and like the scene where the nurse girl is literally like after she's been possessed, she's taking a piece of glass from a mirror and she's carving her face out. Just the brutality of that scene.
Yeah.
It was I want my Deadites to be as nasty and as just go. I mean, if you're going to go all the way. Don't hold back. Don't apologize. Do your thing. That would have been my only drawback to this film was I think they kind of hit the brakes slightly at times, and I wanted them to just go full force. But besides that, I'm happy.
Jeremy, how about you? Was there any knock on this film that you can think of?
Yeah, I would have also said Bruce Campbell because I mean, not that I needed him to just be there, but I expected maybe something a little more of substance. Even if like I was scanning that parking garage, I'm like, is the Delta in there somewhere? Is it like parked in the in the garage?
Well,
I expected like something like that. Or
the closest we got to the Delta was Ellie's car was a Buick, and the chainsaw that gets used is the same color as the Buick. That's as close as we get to it in this film. So, yeah,
Okay.
it is what it is.
Yeah, and I thought maybe if I mean I think we've kind of come to accept that I think Bruce Campbell was the voice of like the priest, right, who was on the recordings.
He was, yeah.
So I mean, like that's cool. And honestly, if you wanted to do an Evil Dead origin story would be pretty wicked. Like we keep hearing about like this person who found it in the first place and recorded everything that happened and found out, oh, this is what you do. This is how, you got to dismember everyone's body. You got to kill them. And, that would be kind of cool to see and like have him be that character in this universe. Like he doesn't necessarily need to be Ash Williams, but that would be pretty cool.
I think there might be something to that. Think about it. Well, think about it. This is one of the 3 Necronomicons, Books of the Dead that exist. Okay.
True.
The one from 2013 is different from the one that has been in all of the Ash movies or Ash versus Evil Dead.
Right.
I think they did that intentionally. I like I said, call it a theory, call it a whatever, call it a hopeful horror fan. But it would be real easy to loop all of these in together and have some kind of multiversal kind of. I mean, everybody's doing it with their franchises these days. Right. It would be easily accepted and it wouldn't take much work. I want to see Mia come back. I want to see Ash come back. I want all of them back. Even if Ash isn't carrying the film, have a team up Lethal Weapon style movie with Beth and Mia taking on an army of the dead. Who wouldn't want to see that? That would be awesome. So I think there might be something to it.
And honestly, I thought maybe like Bruce Campbell would be like the old man who lived down the hall with a shotgun. I was like, nah, okay. Or I thought maybe I'm like, even if you don't want to go, that's kind of a bigger role. That guy had some lines and stuff. So I thought, wait a minute. Please tell me he's the guy that owns the tree service. Because if he comes down in the morning and goes like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like he just sees all of his shit just strewn everywhere. That would have been pretty damn funny if he just came out in the morning to just start his day. And he's just like, really? But none of that. But I mean, honestly, it's like it didn't need him. But which I guess speaks to the movie. The people that were in this, they were able to carry this movie. They make it as, dare I say, fun as it was.
Right.
So.
Yeah, Werewolf, how about you? Is there any part of this movie that just kind of made you roll your eyes and go, really?
No, not really. I just what everyone is talking about, I think I would go in the opposite direction. I kind of didn't want to see Bruce Campbell because I think his appearance in this type of film or like in the Fede Alvarez film would automatically change the tone and expectation because then you're going to start to want to get back into the previous 3 movies. I'm really enjoying this grounded thing that they're doing now with the Evil Dead from this Fede Alvarez and now this. So, I mean, I was, if he's in there, doing another role, like in the background that works. I was thinking too, though, that, at some point, maybe there could be some sort of team up with, all the survivors from all the movies. Although I wouldn't know what that would look like. And we'll see. I guess if there was one complaint, it was that I thought it was a little slow getting started. When we had because I'm thinking of Fede Alvarez, it starts automatically with that guy is burning his daughter alive. I mean, it kicks right off. It kicks right the fuck off. And then, they're in the cabin and, it's foggy and, she's trying to kick heroin and, then, next thing they're in the woods, Mia's running through the woods and, whatever else happens from here. This, didn't have that kind of setup. You start to, it took about 20 minutes or so, 25 minutes before, the book and, all that stuff started to play a part. So, but once it kicked off, you kind of forgot that the setup was as long as it was. And I'm not complaining because, like you said earlier, You got invested in the characters. But then again, I was invested in the Fede Alvarez character, sort of, with a much faster setup. So.
Yeah, for me, my only real knock is the genuine lack of jump scares. I mean, it's like even the crap horror movies kind of have a couple of good jump scares that you don't see coming. This didn't really have it. I kind of dig the idea that it was all about just what was happening in the movie, and they didn't go for the typical stuff like a jump scare. But at the same time, there was a couple that I was kind of expecting, like early on when she first starts, when all hell starts to break loose, and they throw her off into that dark part of the kitchen, the dining room, whatever it is, and you can hear her talking, but she's not, but you don't see her. At the end of that little bit of dialogue, I expected like that jump scare of her like running out really quick, or her like coming right at the camera, but like that didn't materialize, and I was like, that would have been a good opportunity to really kind of scare people into some shit. And there never really was a jump scare, which kind of bothered me. Not necessary, but at the same time, I was kind of like, that's something that every good horror movie gives you at least one of. It's hard for me to get got by jump scares anymore anyway. I've been doing the horror thing for a while now. But it seems like every good movie kind of like, every now and again hit with a scene where I'm like, oh, okay. And didn't quite see that one coming. And I saw it coming, but it still got me or something like that. But there wasn't a whole lot of jump scares. It was really all just visceral, visual stuff. And I was kind of like, okay, like I said, it doesn't take anything out of the movie for me, but really something was missing that I think every horror movie should have at least one good one, or at least try. Even if it doesn't work, you need to at least try. And I don't think they really did that. But that's my only real knock on the movie. I can see what Werewolf was saying about getting off to a bit of a slow start. But again, I like the fact that it gave us some time to get emotionally connected to the characters. I think that kind of made everything going on. It also made the last scene where it's just like her head and part of her shoulders laying there in the wood chipper. And she has that moment where she kind of looks at her. She's like, you have to kill me. You know what you have to do. That one moment kind of reaches back. After all the events of the movie, we've been nothing balls out horror for the last like basically hour of the film. That one little moment of emotional weight again. It kind of made it all. It just made it all that much sweeter at the end. So I mean, a bit of a slow start. I get it, but I didn't mind it so much. No real jump scare, but that's really the worst things I have to say about this movie. Like I was really, really excited about the trailer. I haven't been this excited about a horror movie in a long, long time. The trailer just blew my doors off, and this movie did not disappoint at all, really, for me. I mean, I can't really say. I mean, this is probably the best horror movie I've seen in probably a decade or more, at least. I mean, I liked Scream 6 for what it was. Again, I've not been a big fan of the Scream franchise overall, but I mean, I like that movie for what it was. Definitely one of the better installments of that franchise. But I mean, we don't get that horror like we got from the 70s and 80s anymore. And I'm glad that we're starting to lean back into that old school style kind of slasher bloody shit, because I think it accentuates the rest of the genres of horror. I think it makes me, for me anyway, it makes me enjoy those other genres a little bit more. But before we get out of here, I do have a couple of pieces of trivia that I want to run over. Let's see. As I pull them up, I had a couple. Oh, did you guys get the pizza box? Did you guys see that? The pizza place is called Henrietta's. It's a reference to Henrietta Noby, the demon in the basement in Evil Dead 2.
Yeah. I saw the name, but I wasn't for sure if that was it or if it just happened to be the name. I did see that, though.
Okay.
Let's see. It is the only Evil Dead film not to feature. You guys talked about it already. Not to feature the 73 Oldsmobile Delta 88 Royal. You know what? I found myself looking for that.
I was too.
The movie, I was like, especially when they were down in the garage, I was like, there's got to be one like back in the shadows somewhere.
No.
But it didn't happen.
The movie, it clearly can survive on its own. Instead of
very much so, yeah.
Yeah, instead of having to continue to keep falling back on the same old thing. So yeah.
But I think one of the things that makes this would be great is you don't have to fill it with those kinds of Easter eggs for it to be enjoyable. Even without the Delta 88 and some other stuff, this movie is still very, very good. It's a great standalone movie. If you've never seen an Evil Dead movie at all, this movie stands up on its own. It's got its own legs.
Yeah. The movie before that was the same way. You didn't have to watch any of those other films to have sat there and watched, Mia, go at it. I mean, I just watched it the other day, prepping for this one. Before I went to go see it, and just that scene where she's like at the bottom bunk you know, and just some of the shots where she's just like white as a ghost, and you're just like, holy shit, this is scary. It's on Pluto right now. I was watching it, like, fuck, this still holds up, man.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed. I'll put the picture up real quick while I read this. If you look at Ellie's arms, they're wrapped in the tattoos of the vines. This is a subtle nod to Cheryl from The Evil Dead, Bobby Joe from Evil Dead 2, and Mia from Evil Dead.
Wow.
Attacked and bound by vines.
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's kind of, if you look at it, when she first gets possessed by the demon in the elevator, the wires and stuff coming out of the elevator that wrap her up, it's all done very similar to the way it was done by the vines in previous films.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a pose.
So
It's almost a pose.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty cool little reference. Let's see. There's a couple other ones I wanted to bring up. Let's see. Getting down to some of the more spoilery stuff. Well, obviously, the Bruce Campbell cameo is just in the first record. Let's see. There was a couple in here. I should have written these down. Well, the tree surgeon's truck is named Fonda's, possibly a nod to Bridget Fonda, who appeared as Ash's girlfriend in the opening flashback scenes of Army of Darkness. I didn't actually catch that until I read this.
I mean, that is who he put on the table, went to dismember her, and her head was in the vice, so maybe.
Yeah.
There was one that I did notice. I don't know if it's on there or not, but in the hallway scene when, you know, all the neighbors and everybody have been infected, they start chanting, "Dead by dawn, dead by dawn," you know, that whole thing. That's the tagline for the second movie, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. So I thought that was
because they probably couldn't.
That
That's probably because they couldn't say Dead by Daylight because that's a video game.
Right, yeah.
Which I think they did have Ash as a character in, so I mean, to be fair.
Probably. They've had everybody in that game.
Yeah, but it is fun.
Yeah, in case you guys are wondering, director Lee Cronin did confirm online that the cat seen and heard in the events of the apartment complex does, in fact, survive the events of the film.
Okay, well.
I didn't even care. I'm like, it can die with everybody else. It's not above it. I'm not some animal weirdo, whatever.
A dead-eyed cat would have been kind of funny, though.
I don't get upset when Michael Myers kills the dog in Halloween. I don't care. You know, it is what it is. So, you know, it's all good.
Yeah, I think that's all the really cool stuff. I should have written some of these down because I'm sure there's probably some in here that are pretty cool, but I'm just not catching them because I don't want to take the dead air while I'm reading all this shit.
There was one thing. How cool were the end credit scenes, though, where it was literally the pages of the Necronomicon? You got to see all of that stuff in really cool detail. That's one thing I can't wait for to get it on Blu-ray or streaming or whatever, just so I can pause and visibly see, because I guarantee there's something in there that could lead to something in the future. Because, I mean, Lee Cronin's came out and said he's already got 3 or 4 ideas that have been pitched, you know, for furthering the story. I mean, they wouldn't have called the film Evil Dead Rise if they didn't want to, you know, put this universe out more. Even if it's off to itself, that they don't tie it to anything in the past, I want them to go forward. And, you know, I want more Evil Dead. Like I said, I don't want to have to wait another, you know, 9 years or 10 years, you know what I mean? So I need more.
Actually, I was going to mention that because now I remember. The book did look a little too close to the Monster Book of Monsters from Harry Potter. It had the teeth on it and shit. And I was like, I've seen that book before. That was definitely in Harry Potter, but I could kind of forgive it because, I mean, it did look pretty damn menacing where, you know, it looked like you open it the wrong damn way, you're going to get pricked and it's going to hurt.
I kind of missed the one from Ash's World that had the face on the front cover, though. I kind of missed that. I got to be honest.
I was going to say the designs, though, I'm like, to be fair, I like the one with the face. I think I like the one from Army of Darkness. It's kind of more streamlined. You can kind of still tell the face is there. It's not, you know. But to be fair, I think as it's gone on, like the 2013 one and now this one, I'm like, I know it's just setting up like, oh, it's bound in human flesh and inked in human blood. I was like, yeah, but this one actually looked like it was. It actually was like red inside. Right. It looked like it was actually inked in blood. You could probably believe that's flesh. I'm like, the other ones, I'm like, yeah, they just look like someone put a face on a book and just wrote some shit in it. I'm not knocking the old ones. I'm just saying, I'm like, oh, this actually looks like it was, you know, what it had been described. It has always been described as. So, yeah, there's a topic that looks all. You
guys are more knowledgeable about some of this stuff than I am in this franchise, anyway. Are there actually different books, or are all these books just different versions of the same book?
I thought it was just different designs, but I mean, if like, Texas probably could explain it better than me. I'm like, if there are multiple versions, because I mean, we keep seeing these movies. I'm like, are they in different universes? Like, what does this mean? Because now we've seen like, we saw the one in 2013 with the dad trying to kill the daughter. I'm like, what was that? Who was that? What's going on? Don't care, because now we're going to the heroin addict. I'm like, okay, sure. We've always had like the person in the past who found it first, and then now whoever we're with now is now, opening that Pandora's box of goodness. But then like this one, I'm like, oh, we saw what happened now leading up to it, to the people at the cabin. So now I'm like, well, so where's that going? You know what I mean?
Even in Army of Darkness, they talk about there being more than one Necronomicon. I mean, I believe there was 3 in that one as well.
Wait, didn't he look and he was like, which one is it? Because he went to open one and it was the wrong one. And he was like, oh, not that one. So
there was the real one, and then there were 2 fake ones, right? Or was I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, one was like a black hole, like almost sucked him in. The other one, like
there's been multiple Necronomicons, but from actual designs of the book. Like I said, if you go back to the one that Ash has had, it had more of the face design, even going all the way through Ash versus Evil Dead, the television show that they had on Stars. Like they literally, was it Pablo that the face of the book, the face that was on the book came off of the book, and he wore it for a while, and he spit out some of the demon children or something. So I'm saying, there's been multiple versions of the Necronomicon Ex Mortis, but obviously this was a new design. But since they brought up there's 3 in this movie, they wouldn't tell us there's 3 if they weren't going to show them. You know what I mean? Assuming there's a sequel, which it made $100 million, they'd be stupid if they don't make a sequel. But
I want that basement to be explained. Like, why the hell was that there in this so-called bank that there's just millions of crosses just hanging from the ceiling, and then suddenly I'm like, oh, there's a book in here. I'm like, what was this built on? Like, what? Wait. You were going to demolish it? That's a big no-no in horror. Don't do that. Well, there's part of something important.
Well, we're also, the beginning is also the end of the film.
Right.
Yeah. The girl that
I think he froze.
Yeah, the girl that we see in the beginning is the girl that we end up seeing in the garage at the end of the movie. That's when she gets possessed or whatever.
So now I'm like, wait, what does that mean? Because like we looked at her like, did she just get possessed by all fucking 3 of them? Like, I think she did, because holy crap. Like, yep, damn.
Well,
could be.
Once all of the people that were possessed formed the Marauder, which is the name of that creature that, like Jeremy said, looks like it crawled out of the Society movie when they were shunting each other. Like once they formed the Marauder, and she put him in the wood chipper. Who knows? Like I said, this film was called Rise for a reason. I can't help but hope and think that this is leading to something more. You know what I mean?
Well, this is what I was saying before I got cut off. The beginning of the movie is the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The beginning of the movie takes place a day after everything that we're seeing in that tenement building, which basically means that it's out in the world now.
Right.
Which isn't something that's been addressed at all. So, she makes it from the basement to the cabin. She's already killed 2 people there. And, she comes up out of the water for the title shot. That's all taking place a day after everything that we see, in LA. So I imagine, who knows? This could be leading to some kind of apocalypse. Because in the other films we saw in 2013, it's contained at the cabin. Mia contains it at the cabin. And with the other, in the first movie, it rushes Ash at the end, but then, they come back and basically remake it for the second one. And then, he goes through, another portal for the third movie. But here, it's not contained. It's not contained.
Well,
So if this is just the first step in a bunch of chaos that's going to happen in the coming movies, I'm all for it.
That's what I'm thinking now. That's what I'm thinking, and that's why the idea that they may form some sort of like an Avengers team, or some sort of Evil Dead Justice League or something, with all the survivors.
God, that'd be great. Yes,
yeah,
bring back Pablo and what's the dark-haired chick from Ash versus Evil Dead?
Oh yeah,
Pablo and his girlfriend from that show. I can't remember. Either way, you could have them two. You could bring Mia back. I mean, if Bruce Campbell is willing and able to do something, you could have him be like the Nick Fury of Werewolf just said, the Evil Dead Avengers or Justice League or whatever. Yeah, like please, could you imagine Nick Fury going around recruiting? Oh, we've got a chainsaw initiative, and he's got secret plans or something. I don't know. It could be great.
I was gonna say the Deadite Initiative,
or the Deadite Initiative, whatever.
Can or would Campbell do a grounded Evil Dead movie? Because
he did a post credit scene for the 2013 film.
True.
So, I mean, I'm sure if they give him a big enough pile of money, he'll probably do whatever they ask of him. So.
Hell, he can time travel. He went back in time and shit.
So it's not like they don't have a. Yeah.
I was going to say, he's the producer on this film, so I would imagine if they're going to keep him involved, that he would not only just be a producer in name only, and just kind of be someone there to kind of be the elder statesman of the franchise. We would also have some kind of say, maybe not a writing credit, but some kind of a say into where the story goes.
He was on the Q&A for this at the big screening that they had. I saw him. There's a great video of him telling some heckler to shut the fuck up.
He'll forever be attached to this. I mean, I don't know if you know the lore of this or not, but he was even a producer on the first film. He had his father take a mortgage out on some land that they owned in Michigan or something to even produce the first couple movies before they really took off. So as long as he's alive, just like John Carpenter with Halloween, he'll be attached somehow. There's no way.
Those movies were college films.
Yeah.
They were student films, and that whole idea that, they would run the trolley along the ground with the camera to, make it seem like the demon was, sort of flying at this great rate of speed. There were great shots, but it was like the ultimate in low budget.
Oh yeah.
That's the stuff I like.
But it was like a Three Stooges, homage.
It was Three Stooges with about 1,000 gallons of blood. Who wouldn't love that? It's just great.
And a pencil through the Achilles tendon. So.
Oh God, yeah. Oh, that would suck.
Well, that was one of the other tidbits that I saw with this movie. There was 1,170 gallons of fake blood or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
In this movie, and I'm thinking to myself, well, that covers the elevator scene. What about the rest of it?
Right. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I watched a video of them practicing that. They literally built these elevators, like 2 or 3 of them, to practice this. And Lily Sullivan, I was listening to her interview this morning. She said that blood was so thick that her and the little girl, when they were practicing, it was so thick that they were floating in it. They were having to hold on to one another because it's not like swimming in water. Yeah. It was like a gelatin type material or whatever. And
it looks slippery.
I think it's on Lee Cronin's Twitter account. You can go see the practice footage of them. It's just out in a parking lot somewhere, and they just open the elevator doors and they just have water in there, and you just see it rush out. It looks really cool. So it's something to go look for.
Yeah, being somebody that does use
that seems like a good
blood, it's not a fun time.
Yeah, it can sometimes be annoying. I can tell every now and again when Jeremy talks to me about getting ready to go do all the Halloween stuff at the cave, there's always this, as excited as he is about it, there's always this twinge of like, I gotta deal with this makeup and shit again. It's like,
there's a thick blood that's just like, I can't. It's like he said, it's like
very corn syrupy.
It's sticky and it's just I don't like it, man.
Yeah.
Just give me the runny shit. I'll just dump it on my head and I'm fine. And it's cold.
You'll have to vlog some of your shit at the cave this year.
Oh wait, so I should I should do the trend like these kids do. Get ready with me to go down to the taunt, whatever.
Just don't do it on TikTok, because then we can't be friends anymore. All right, don't do that.
Yeah, I don't think they're ready for that kind of thing. I don't think I could probably be Satan on there. It's all right.
Well, that seems like a good place to start wrapping things up. Again, I don't know. I'll start with you, Tex. Any just like final couple of sentences on the movie?
Yeah, great film. Very much enjoyed it. I'd say it's my third favorite in the franchise so far. I'd say first being Evil Dead 2, then the 2013, then this one, the original, and Army of Darkness. Solid overall. Go see it. Go buy it. I mean, sounds like a lot of people already did, but hey, I'll be there for the next one.
Jeremy, how about you? Any final thoughts on the film?
Keep it coming, because if you're gonna make more that's in this same vein, this same style as this one, I say bring it on. This shit was insane, and that's what it needs to be.
And Werewolf, my man, how about you? Any final thoughts on this film before we move on?
Keep them coming, but don't rush them. Take enough time to make them good. Doesn't have to be 10 years, but 5 years, that's fine. Just enough time to give a shit, to show that you put the work in and that you give a shit. Keep it grounded. If it goes in the other direction, with the original 3, I don't know that I'm necessarily on board for that, but I look forward to the next one. Can't wait to own this one. A couple of weeks away. Yeah, good stuff.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been this impressed and satisfied with a horror movie in a long, long time. The trailer made some big promises. The movie delivered big time on all of them. I kind of agree with Werewolf. Don't rush it, but at the same time, if you think you've got it, then damn it, get it in front of a camera and get it made. If it has to be another 10 years, that's fine by me. I mean, we know that Bruce Campbell isn't exactly getting any younger, but I don't think he's going anywhere for at least before the next film comes out. I hope anyway. But just make sure you stick to what makes this franchise great. Stick to what makes all this stuff good. Take your time, because like I said, one of the weird positive things that came out of the pandemic for a lot of movies is that since you had that extra year before you could release it, a lot of people went back and they tightened up some dialogue, they tightened up some editing stuff. I think this is one of the reasons why Ghostbusters Life did pretty well with me, because they even said they went back and they kind of recut some stuff and redid some things to kind of streamline it a bit. And they had that time because nothing was getting released. And I think that made that movie a lot better. And so, take your time, make sure you have every scene the way you want it done, make sure it's edited just right, and then put it out. Because you're not trying to rush this thing out to make $500, $600, $700 million. You don't have to be in a hurry for these films. These are artistic films as much as they are a horror. So take the time to make sure every brushstroke is right. That way the art is really going to stand out in the film that you're making, especially this, because this movie was just awesome. I'm really glad this movie got made. Again, this is the best horror movie I've seen in a long, long time, and I have kind of poo-pooed the genre for a while now. But the last probably 10 or so years, it's starting to really hit a stride. I think horror might be kind of all the way back now, at least pretty damn close.
You don't need a lot of money to make a decent horror film.
Right.
Oh yeah.
You don't need a lot of money. I mean, unless you're going to bring in A-list stars, which you can do, and you'll get something, that you have to pay people for. But I mean, you don't necessarily need it. Minimal special effects. You need a good script, and you need actors and a decent director who can put it together. You don't need a lot of green screen with horror.
Jeremy and I have said a bunch of times some of the best horror films ever made were made for bus fare with crappy 8mm cameras. It's like low budget lends itself to horror in a way that it does for no other genre of film.
Texas Chainsaw, baby.
Yeah. That movie for $25.
God bless Toby.
Yeah. You can't knock the kind of, not necessarily guerrilla filmmaking, but the kind of independent style. Yeah. That lends itself to horror very, very well.
Look at Salem's Lot. Salem's Lot was a fucking TV movie.
Yeah.
It was a TV movie. It scared the shit out of us. We all went to school the next day.
So what the fuck was that? Visuals too.
Yeah, I was like 10 years. I was 10 years old when that came out. And they were like, "Hey, there's a fucking movie. All right, let's watch it." And I'm like, "What the fuck is some little kid scraping against the, And you're like, "What the fuck?" All right, I'm not sleeping at night. Shit.
But yeah, again, a fantastic movie. I want to thank all my great co-hosts for coming on and hanging out with me tonight. Starting with my hetero life mate, Jeremy. What do you got going on, my friend?
Not a whole lot. We did just play, I guess, keeping in the horror vein, we just played a Dora the Explorer-esque horror game, if you can believe it, called Amanda the Adventurer.
Dora would be scary
we
enough.
took Winnie the Pooh to the horror genre. Why not Dora?
Six and say, weren't you? Six and say there, Mister.
No, it wasn't literally Dora. It's in that early childhood type TV show, but it's a horror thing, and it's contained into like one room, and there's just shit going on all over the place.
That's cool.
That was fun, and not a whole lot else. I mean, just follow. His name is right there. You follow on Twitter. You go. That's where it'll happen if it happens.
And the shape from the Lone Star State, our man Tex. What do you got going on the internet, my friend?
Oh, not much. Busy week ahead. About the only time you'll see me is here Thursday. So make sure y'all check us out then, and we'll be here.
And to the American Werewolf in New Jersey, the link to his channel is in the description down below. Go check out his stuff. He's got a lot of stuff going on. What do you got coming up in the next week or so?
What up, gamer?
It's a busy week. Yeah, I got a busy week. Tomorrow, I've got film director Toshi Asaka. I'm bringing him on for an interview. He specializes in samurai films, which are some of my favorite genre of films. So I'm going to have him on tomorrow night, 10 o'clock. Wednesday, I'm going to be with Eric from Hey Internet Eric here, and we are going to start covering, again, season 1. We're going to be doing that of The Exorcist, which was a great fucking
good show.
Yeah, it was with Gina Davis. That was fucking. That could have been the biggest turd. Second season wasn't too great, but first season was fucking fire. So we'll be covering the first 2 episodes of that. We'll be taking that on 2 episodes at a time. And then Thursday, I'm going to be streaming with Morgan Scorpion for a noon show. I think it's noon. We're going to be covering a movie I haven't seen yet called Lake Mungo, which is supposed to be solid. I don't know too much about it. It's a found footage film, I think. Looking forward to that. And then Friday, if everything goes well, I'll have the next chapter of Dracula by Stoker's out there. I've been doing readings on my backup channel, American Werewolf EU. So, yeah, every day of the week, I got something going on this week.
Sure.
His channel's growing like crazy for good reason. He's got a lot of really great content over there, so go check him out. Again, linked to him and to Jeremy in the description down below. And Slash Revision, you can find him either here, or on Casey's channel.
I'm on Twitter. I don't do much. I just hang out.
And
I just hang out, talk about blood, guts, and titties whenever Frank needs them. That's all I do.
As for me, you can find me here every Thursday going over all the news and happenings in the world of TV streaming and movies. You can find me here doing some reviews every so often when I get a chance to do them. I'm hoping to go see Guardians over the course of the next week or so. I don't know when we'll get the review schedule, but I will be going to see that because all the reviews have been pretty positive, especially about the emotional notes of the movie. So I'm eager to see how Marvel decides to wrap up the Guardians of the Galaxy franchise and to see all the other cool stuff that happens in the movie. I've already seen a little bit about the post-credit scenes. Whatever. But we'll talk about those some other time. We will be back here Thursday. And until next time, this stream is now sleeping with maggots.
Later, everybody.
Watch out for your cheese graters. Make sure they're secured properly.
Yeah, hide your cheese graters. Don't let the zombies get a hold of them. Bye, everybody.
Shop at Smart.